All right, so it's actually day 3 on doing like this little challenge on the 100-day challenge of doing 20 minutes of recording. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that, but I started the timer. And yeah. So today I was kind of like studying a little bit more about like hooks and stuff. So in the future, when I do start making videos, I can basically provide you with better content and basically keep you engaged for a longer period of time. Um, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Miguel Armijo, and I usually like to go over a lot of different subjects that are gonna be basically just actionable advice that you can actually take and apply on your day-to-day life. And with that being said, actually, you know what? Let's get started. So, if you hear a lot of like the small golden nuggets that I do get in, like I do give in between the videos, or if you do have like those aha moments, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with my personal videos, but it can be from books, it can be from seminars, it can be from a lot of different things. But if you actually start to see that there are some steps that you can start applying now, then the only next best step that you can do is to actually start taking action as soon as possible. And I believe it was in a book of Brian Tracy. He's a really great author. He has a lot of good books. Ones that I would really recommend is No Excuses and Goals. And he basically goes over like the law of procrastination. I'm not 100% sure if that's what it's called, but he, in essence, basically what it means is the longer it takes for you to apply a piece of information that you've recently acquired, then the less likely you are going to be applying it like within in the near future. So with that said, like if you've heard something that you think is really good advice, then try to apply it, even if it's kind of like unconventional or if it's uncomfortable at the moment. The sooner you apply it, the quicker your brain starts to kind of like save it into your like your memory files. And that's basically why I'm doing this little series. Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna get this far, but I was kind of like looking into my whole profile and like trying to see like the amount of time that I've been posting, and I came to realize that like within the last 2 years, I only posted around like two hours of content, and simply on my third day, I'm already halfway there. Like I'm already halfway to meeting that goal again. And this is like 2 years of me trying to practice and trying to find the right hook and trying to do everything so perfect. So the lesson in there, in my opinion, is actually that to actually start oversimplifying a lot of the tasks that you want to get done and just get them done, or just try to like take action as soon as possible. And you're gonna see that a lot of things like in a lot of books. I recently started like reading up on a lot of old books that I used to reread a lot. Most of it is usually fluff. Like if you take a good look at a lot of different books, I personally have only been able to apply like the small golden nuggets, and it isn't until I go back and reread them again. Like I guess everything has its stages, but just try to take like from a book, just try to kind of like skim the fluff, everything that doesn't necessarily apply to you in this moment. Trust me, if you think that you're gonna remember it, like you're gonna forget about it within the next week. And just try to apply like as much actionable information as you can. I know I'm getting kind of repetitive here, but I used to be like the type of guy that would be listening to audiobooks nonstop, and I would try to get my hands on everything that I could, any type of information. And there was a certain point where I actually got very frustrated because a lot of the information wasn't sticking, or I couldn't remember a lot of the information, and I couldn't recall everything on the spot. Like if I was looking into finances, as soon as I just wanted to recall something or tell somebody a fact, I just simply couldn't remember it. And there was this quote, and I'm not really sure where I heard it, but as soon as if anybody finds out, put it down in the comment section. But the quote essentially went something along the lines of, your mind isn't a good memory file, but it is really good at bringing up the information when it's needed. So your goal is to basically keep on getting information that you actually need. And once you start realizing this, there's a lot of like useless information that you're consuming at the moment. Like me personally, there's a lot of like mindful meditation information that isn't necessarily going to benefit me within the next 3 to 6 months. There's a lot of information about investing, about buying homes that I'm not gonna be able to apply in 3 to 6 months. So if I start reading up on it now, like, yeah, it is setting like kind of like a base or a foundation for me to be able to act on it later on, but it's not gonna be as beneficial for me as it would if I would start to focus more on increasing my earning capacity. And the reason is because increasing my earning capacity comes before actually investing in any real estate. And once you start to look at things in this light, like in this way, you start to realize that, like, okay, well, maybe it's not so much that there's so little that I know, but maybe I don't know enough to take the next step. And this is kind of like a little like line that you need to balance, or like a little, there's a very thin line like between over procrastinating and trying to research as much as you can before you stumble onto the next step. A good rule of thumb, and of course I got this from Brian Tracy as well, is to, if you're gonna venture out on anything, like if you're gonna learn how to do anything from investing in real estate, if you're gonna learn anything from speaking in public, any skill that you're gonna take on, a good rule of thumb is to only read around 3 books, 3 of the best sellers, and just basically start applying as much information as you can instantly. Now, what this is gonna do is that it's gonna already give you more information than 70% of the population in any given subject. So once you already have like this decent foundation, there's gonna be a lot of friction when you try to apply it the first time, but you're gonna start to put the pieces together the more reps you get in. And then after you get a couple of those reps in, you kind of start seeing what works for you and what doesn't. So the next step after that would only be to actually sit down and then, okay, well, what are the next 2 steps that I'm kind of lacking on? Kind of revise everything that you've been doing and look at the gaps in your knowledge that you need to fill in to be able to take you to the next level. And I really do believe that like most of the skills that we want to acquire, like it's just a repetitive process of this exactly. Like just basically sitting down, reflecting, looking at where our gaps are, informing ourselves about those gaps, and just trying to apply it to the best of our abilities. And this is where a lot of people usually give up, or that it's where they just simply fail, simply because they stop trying, or they think it's impossible, or they think that there's something defective about them. But the only truth is that you just haven't rehearsed it enough, or you haven't been informed enough and rehearsed the information that you've learned to be able to actually gauge whether you'd be proficient in this field or not. And yeah, I really do feel like I'm getting very repetitive at this point, but the point of these videos are just basically to keep on building the habit of speaking to you guys. And I do apologize like if a lot of the information isn't very coherent, or it doesn't make a lot of sense at the moment, but I promise that within the future videos I'm gonna be able to fine-tune and polish a lot of these skills and be able to provide you guys with more value like in less time. So I also just wanted to touch a little bit on like the business ventures that I've had, and unfortunately I can't consider myself at the moment a very successful entrepreneur because I haven't even broken like the 5-figure mark yet. I haven't even made a couple of thousand, but I do believe that a lot of my learning experiences are very applicable. It doesn't matter what level you're at. And I kind of read up a lot on the businesses simply because I don't feel like anything was working. So kind of like the 2 books that I want to reference a lot are MJ DeMarco's The Millionaire Fastlane and Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek. And in these books, I mean, they're 2 totally different concepts, and there's actually like some kind of like shade being thrown from The Millionaire Fastlane onto the 4-Hour Workweek. But I do believe that a lot of the concepts that they talk about go hand in hand. And the concepts that they do go over is kind of like starting a business that you're familiar with. And when I say that, I mean obviously you're not gonna have any experience, but you're gonna be familiar with a lot of the aspects of the business. When Tim Ferriss started his company, Brain Quicken, he knew the benefits of or the necessity of having a supplement that would be able to make him a lot more productive. And when MJ DeMarco started his company for like the canker sores, like the ointments, the reason it was so easy for him to market and actually make a product was simply because he was either a part of the market that would buy it, and because he knew a lot of the pain points that he would need to touch on to be able to make it a profitable business. Now, of course, this wasn't the only the only businesses that they made, but they do emphasize a lot that you try to focus on a need that needs to be met. And one huge mistake that I did make on most of my like business ventures is that I was focusing more on what was more efficient for me to do and what would make me the money the fastest, like without me having to put as much effort. And if this is you, like if you really think that you're gonna strike it big, like with a day trading course or with a lot of different, just basically chasing the bag, in other words, then unfortunately you're gonna be throwing a lot of money down the drain. I mean, it may be part of like your guys' process. Like this may be something that you need to learn firsthand, but I kind of got to the point where I understood that if I want to be successful in any business, I'm gonna have to know exactly what the business is about. Like I'm gonna have to get familiar with every aspect of the business, and I'm gonna have to focus first on meeting that need before I actually think about how much money I'm gonna make. Now, of course, I do understand that if you're gonna start a business, it is to actually make money. What I'm saying is that you actually need to provide value in order to be able to get the money from your customers. And a good exercise that I did see that they made a lot, or that they emphasized on a lot, was to actually write down what demographic you would consider yourself in and what pain points like what needs have you had. So like me myself, like I'm a young male, so I do believe that I would be prone to a lot of how to make money quick. I would be prone on maybe a lot of like gym stuff, running shoes, different things that would interest me as a person, and those would possibly be like the type of businesses that I would want to get into. But of course, this is gonna differentiate with every single person, and this is kind of like the homework that you need to do. You need to focus what demographics you need to get in, what problems are you facing on a day-to-day basis, and see if you can fulfill any better than any other solution that's out in the market right now. And of course, it's not as easy as just coming up with a solution and just putting it onto the market. There's a lot of different things that you need to learn if you want to get into business. You need to learn how to copyright. You need to learn how to give value propositions. You need to learn how to cultivate offers that are actually going to sell. And if you're providing a service business, you need to learn how to get leads. And at the moment, I kind of am reading on, well, not kind of am. I'm reading on Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Offers. It's a really good book, and I really do feel like those three books that are out right now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a fourth one coming soon. But $100 million offers, $100 million leads, and $100 million money models are very, very, very good starting points to get like a good basis of business overall. So basically, what it goes over in $100 million offers is being able to charge a lot more than the competition, but at the same time offering a lot more value than the money you're charging. So when he goes over this, he basically goes over basically specifying or niching down on a specific market. So this is kind of like where the demographic that you'd be in, like it would come in handy. So I really can't remember the example that he gave, but one of the examples that he gave was if you're gonna specify down, if you're gonna be charging a lot more, you need to be more specific. So he ended up going over a productivity management course, and for that course, you can usually only charge 19 bucks. But then he goes a step further and he starts explaining like, okay, but if you go a little bit deeper and you make it for a more specific market, like let's say a productivity course for sales professionals, then there's a lot less sales professionals than people who would like to be more productive in the general market. So you'd be able to charge a lot more. Well, not a lot more, but you'd be able to charge $99 for the same course. And then once you take it another step further, okay, yeah, a productivity course for B2B sales professionals. So it's not only sales professionals that are selling over the phone or knocking on door to doors, but now it's a specific business to business sales professional that would be buying this course. So for that course, you can charge around $500. And then he goes a step further. Okay, yeah, well, this is actually a productivity management course for a B2B sales associate that sells gardening tools and landscaping equipment. And for that course, just because it's so specific, I mean, of course, you're narrowing down your general market or the people that you can sell to, but you'd be able to charge 10 times more. So you'd be able to charge $1,000 for the same product that you would only be able to charge the general market for $19. So this is kind of like the basic. This is the point of niching down, of trying to find your specific market and making sure that that is something that they're looking for. So when you do this, is that you're basically gonna take the first step and actually look. Man, I'm sorry, I'm kind of out of it today. So the first step, of course, is finding your market, finding the specific market that you'd be selling to. And the second step would be to make sure that that's a solution that they actually need. You kind of see how like all these books kind of tie in together. So if you have a hungry market, if you have a specific market, and if you have a solution that is possibly going to sell, then all you need to do is to be able to create a offer so irresistible that it's impossible to say no. And of course, I still need to read up a lot more on it, but there is an equation that did interest me a lot. And the way you can make the value a lot more, the way you can make the offer a lot more valuable is basically by reducing the amount of time it's going to take for the person to get their desired result and the time of the amount of effort. And I loved how he explained this, because he basically went over to basically focus on like the bottom part of the equation, which is what I just went over. So you need to focus more on getting it to them as fast as possible to the desired outcome with the least amount of effort from their part. And the reason that the reason that's kind of like the way to go is because you keep on seeing more and more ads that keep on making more and more outlandish claims. And it's very easy to do that, and that's the same reason that most of the competition does that. But what if somebody came up with a pill that as soon as you drank it, you would lose 100 pounds instantly, or you would just get into shape instantly? If you can get that bottom part of the equation down to zero, so it requires zero effort from their part and it requires zero waiting time, then of course they're gonna, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna go with you, and they're not gonna compare you on a commodity based level. Like they're not gonna compare your price to another person, because you're gonna be giving them the desired result instantly without any effort. Now, of course, I know a lot of this information doesn't make sense, and I know that I'm kind of like everywhere with this like little lecture. But if you did make it this far, I really do want to thank you for taking the time to actually listen to my little ramble. Of course, just to kind of like recap everything, take action with any golden nuggets that you see as soon as possible. Try to remove a lot of the fluff. Remember, every single book is gonna have 70% fluff and 30% actionable advice. So try to make sure that you take the next step and actually just take what you can actually use right now. The next is to basically start a business where you can fulfill a need, something that you can resonate with, or something that you actually know from like a behind the scenes basis. And lastly, just try to make the just try to make the offer so valuable that it's going to be impossible for the customer to say no. And of course, just to go over it again, if you can reduce the amount of time and effort that it takes for your customer to get the desired outcome, then it's gonna put you way ahead of the curve. That's exactly what a $100 million offer is. Once again, my name is Miguel Armijo, and we're kind of clocking out at the 20-minute mark. And yeah, just to say, just if there's anything that you want to get good at, I really hope that this is gonna be a good reflection of that. I hope I'm not 100 videos down the line and still sucking at speaking to you guys, or still sucking at formulating my ideas. But yeah, I hope that everybody basically achieves their goals, and they get everything that they want to get done as soon as possible. And yeah, this is kind of just an awkward 20 seconds, simply because I have no idea what to say at this point. But yeah. And yeah, just let me know down in the comments below, like, if there's anything that you want me to touch on. Like I said, I know a lot of the information that I'm giving out right now, it's very over the place, but I promise I'm gonna fine tune this, and I'm gonna make these very valuable in the near future. And then just to show once again, the 20 minutes are up.